Hello my friends and welcome once again to another episode of Tony's Comfort Kitchen. Now then, today I am going to be cooking a chili con carne, and I think along with possibly a spaghetti bolognese, it is probably the most cooked comfort food dish that you have in people's houses. Like the bolognese recipe that I did, and I'll put a link to that at the end of this video. This is a little bit different to the majority of chili con carnes that people would say make in Britain anyway. There's a couple of changes to the usual chili, so if you want to know what those changes are, then please stick around. Okay, the first thing to do is to cut up the meat. Now, as you can see, one of the differences is that normally people use minced beef, whereas I use proper meat and just cut it up into larger chunks. And here I have about 500 grams of braising steak. So I'm going to cut these up, make sure I'm going across the grain has to be going this way. So I'm going to cut these up into a sort of small bite-sized pieces. Right, I put a scant amount of oil in a saucepan and I put 100 grams of pancetta in. We're just going to let that cook down and fat to render out. I seem to be using pancetta in every dish I do these days. Nothing wrong with that, pancetta's gorgeous. Just cook that down and then we'll take the pancetta out, put it to one side and get on with the browning the beef. Right, with the pancetta cooked, I will add in the beef in small batches. Too much, as you know, will make it poach rather than sear, which is what we're trying to do. Okay, that's the last of the meat browning off in the pan there. Look at that, the colour of the bottom of that pan. It's the, what do they call it, the fond. And that will give a lot of flavour when we add the liquids to it and deglaze it. Okay, just a smidgen more oil. Then into the same pan goes one onion chopped up finely, or fairly finely. And half a green pepper, again chopped up fairly finely. Followed by one jalapeno chopped up, one green jalapeno in this case, chopped up, and 4 cloves of garlic chopped up. And let those cook down a little bit. Add some salt, some black pepper. We'll just mix it all in, let it cook down, let it soak up all that fond that's in the bottom of the pan. It's pure flavour. Then I'll add back in the pancetta, the beef with its juices. Give it a good mix. Now for the spices, we'll have a teaspoon of cumin seeds in this case. You can use powder if you want. A teaspoon of ancho chili flakes. These are ancho chili flakes, so if the camera can pick it up. You can buy these in jars in the supermarkets in the UK. Presumably you can buy them elsewhere too. And a teaspoon of chipotle flakes. And that'll give it a lovely hot smoky flavour, along with the fresh jalapeno that I put in earlier, and a stick of cinnamon, or in this case 2 sticks of cinnamon because it's quite small. Just mix up. And next goes a tin of chopped tomatoes. That colour of those tomatoes looks fantastic. And And then, and usually, I have a tablespoon of brown sugar. Oops, 1 bay leaf. And finally, 500 millilitres of beef stock. And now it's just a case of letting this cook for minimum of 2 hours on a low to medium heat, because that braising steak is it's quite tough, full of flavour but quite tough, and it'll take a lot of cooking down. So keep an eye on it, and I'll see you in about 2 hours. Okay, it's been 2 hours now. That meat is lovely and tender. I've just had a taste of it. Now then, 1 or 2 little ingredients to finish it off. First of all, a good teaspoon of oregano, the juice of half a lime, oops, it's gone everywhere, and a good bunch of coriander, fresh coriander, or cilantro as the Americans call it. Right, it's time to dig in. Oh, that is lovely. Oh, there is something special about cooking basically a tough, cheap cut of meat for a long time. It just melts in your mouth. Oh, that is amazing. It actually is quite sweet, but that chilli kind of cuts through the sweetness. Oh, this is wonderful. It's quite hot. It's not too hot. You can make it as hot as you want. Now I used ancho chillies, and I used, what did I use? Chipotle chilies, or the chili flakes. These are dried, obviously. You can use, that's just what I could get hold of, but you can use whatever chili powders that you have. But I would highly recommend using something that's quite smoky, like the chipotle. Or if you don't have the chili flakes, you can use chipotle paste or something like that, because it does add to the dish. Oh, excuse me. Oh. By the way, if you're wondering what I added at the very end of the video, got some chopped spring onions and some grated cheddar, and obviously some more coriander. This is absolutely wonderful. Now you probably noticed, sorry, I forgot to mention, there are no beans in this. I don't put beans in my chilies. I just find it makes the whole thing far too stodgy. So the difference is, from most chilies that you'll